We're spending 22 minutes today with Lea Thompson, here to talk about Switched at Birth. What a great series on Freeform. And now season 5, the last season, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. How come? Were you ready for it to end, or did you know all along, or?
No. Well, you think usually the life of these things, you want to get it to 100 episodes, but we made 104, I think. But we all felt like there were more stories to tell. Sorry.
Actually, you know, the premise, I was just talking with somebody in the ladies' room of all places. One of my favorite people here said, you know, my daughter was inspired to study sign language after seeing this show. So you hear the title and you say, okay, Switched at Birth. This is going to be your routine Prince and the Pauper thing, but it's so much more because of that element.
Yeah, it is. It was a real gift, the whole sign language thing, the deaf culture that we got to explore, all the different issues that we got to enjoy. And Lizzie Weiss, the creator of our show, always had such a great point of view. Like, she could see both sides of every issue, and she didn't shy away from really important issues. And this last season, she did not shy away. She did not take the easy road, and where there's a lot of really amazing episodes.
Right, there are so many issues that your show tackles and really tackles in depth, things that you haven't really seen on television before. The other thing that I thought was so neat about it was the character Daphne, played by Katie Leclerc. Now, she actually is hard of hearing, correct?
A little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah, she has Meniere's disease, which goes in and out. Sometimes she can't hear, and sometimes she can.
Huh. Right.
But she also knew sign language because her sister is deaf from Meniere's disease.
Right.
And so she kind of knew sign language before she started the show. And it was amazing to work with so many deaf and hard of hearing actors. And actually, the only deaf person I knew before I started the show was Marlee Matlin, who we had such a gift to be able to work with her and have her kind of, you know, she has so many fans. She's done so much to further the cause of deaf and hard of hearing people, and it was just a gift to have her with us.
Oscar winner, no less, right?
Yeah. You know, I was a little intimidated acting with her.
And your character, Kathryn Kennish. So when you read about the premise of the show, you think, okay, she's the rich mom. So when you got the script, were you like, oh, am I going to be the bad guy here, or what?
That is definitely what I thought. I thought I was the bad guy because I was the rich, entitled suburban housewife, which, you know, seemed generally like people write that as the bad guy.
Right.
And I said that to Lizzie Weiss, and she goes, no, I base this character on my mother. So that was a mistake to say. But that was another thing about her point of view. I was a Republican rich housewife, and who had kind of everything, perfect life, the perfect children, the perfect everything, and perfect hair. They never showed anybody helping me clean that giant house, which was a problem.
The hair looks great, though. It really does.
Yeah. I'm so sorry.
I had a coughing fit a couple of 22 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So I feel you. I'm so sorry.
I know, no. I'm getting over it now. It's that time of year.
Yes.
But yeah, when I got to explore her, she really, I loved the way that she would kind of work through things. And I love the way that Lizzie Weiss, when you have a scene, the creator of the show, when you have a scene, you're not really sure of her point of view. Each character has a really strong point of view, and they argue it out in a way that is enlightening, in which we need more of in this country right now. And I really appreciated that, because I would wonder how she was going to deal with really hot topics, like in the season before this started, my son gets his girlfriend pregnant with a child that has Down syndrome, so they had to deal with whether they go through with the pregnancy or not, knowing that the child is disabled. And I was really curious how she was going to do that from my point of view of my character, of the other characters. And she really has a beautiful way of arguing both sides of the like a lawyer, like beautiful debate, which makes for great scenes and great opportunities for people to watch and discuss things from a really an important meeting of minds.
Right. And then discuss with your teenagers when you're watching it with them.
Yeah.
Another TV mom you play, Scorpion. You're on Scorpion. Is that going to be continuing, or might there be more of that? Or?
I'm not sure. I did 4 episodes of Scorpion. I had a great time. I got to actually kind of play a really bad mom, like
a con artist, right?
Con artist, really pretty bad mom, and but she was really interesting. And she also had these Scorpion's so interesting because it has everyone has these superpowers. It's like a superhero show, but they're just superpowers of the brain. So my character has those as well, it was a really fun character. So I hope I come back.
You're Kathryn McPhee's mom.
Yes, exactly.
On there, and how was the chemistry there?
I loved her. I mean, we both are singers and dancers. Kind of first before we became actors, so we really met, we had a great meeting of minds, and we would sometimes dance around and sing on the set. So hopefully they'll have a musical Scorpion and invite me back.
That would be a must-see episode. You mentioned that you started as a dancer, right? As a kid, you studied ballet, and then didn't you go on scholarship, and that was going to be your route before this crazy acting thing came along?
Yeah, I was a ballet dancer and a modern dancer in Minnesota, and I moved to Pennsylvania to be in the Pennsylvania Ballet, and I kind of washed out there, and I came here to New York to be, got a scholarship at the American Ballet Theater, and then I washed out of that, and so I was like, plan B, 21, washed up. So in the same day I was offered a play, off-Broadway play, a ballet company in Ohio, and an audition for a big musical. So it was and then I decided to do the off-Broadway play. So that's kind of when my career went this way.
Right.
And thank goodness, it's been a great career. I'm very lucky.
I would say so. Is it true that Baryshnikov told you the dancing thing not going to work out, or is that just an urban legend?
It's true. He said I was too stocky. I was a beautiful dancer, but I was too stocky, and I looked at him like
stocky. As in short and stout?
Yes, which is kind of what he is at the time, but it really was the best thing. I really wasn't a great dancer at all, and my body wasn't good enough, and so it was really, life is like that. Sometimes the worst thing turns out to be the best thing. Sometimes you don't know which path you should go down, and the universe tells you which way to go, and that's what happened with me, and I've been really grateful.
Yeah. So fair to say that you really hit it big with the first Back to the Future movie. How did you get the role of Lorraine?
There's things that just parts that just really are perfect for you, and I think that part was really perfect for me because I had to audition both with the young Lorraine McFly and the old Lorraine McFly and show the contrast in those two characters.
The old broken Lorraine.
Yeah, 47.
That's all she was.
47.
Oh, that young thing.
I can't believe Spielberg and Zemeckis were making fun of me. I guess they were younger than that. I guess they were in their late 30s. Yeah. But I understood both those characters really well, and the dichotomy of, and that was what was beautiful about that part, because I got to show how much promise people can have and how badly it can go. In terms of their spirit. It wasn't that the character, that the older Lorraine was not pretty. It was that her spirit was completely broken, and you get to see how much spirit she had when she was young, and how important it is to protect that spirit as you grow.
I always think of you carrying that birthday cake.
Yeah, I know, it was a great scene.
Utterly defeated. And then the other really neat thing about the movie is that it's, that one moment changes the life of a person. Yeah. If George hadn't thrown that punch, would have been different. Yeah,
it is. I think that's one of the reasons people like to show to their children, because it is important to remember that one moment of courage, one moment of doing the right thing, of standing up for what you believe in, not being a coward, can change your whole life. And I think that is the real message of the movie. That's super important. And, because it's really easy to just be like, but I've had those moments in my life where I did the right thing and it changed everything, or I didn't do something impulsive that would have made things go one way or another. You know, so I feel like it is the truth, and it's easy to be lulled into just, you know, whatever I do doesn't matter or whatever, but it's not true. And that's what that movie says. It's quite a beautiful message.
Did you guys talk about a 4?
No.
Yeah.
It
was done.
Zemeckis was super exhausted. Well, Back to the Future 2 was meant to just be Back to the Future 2. And we were shooting, in the middle of shooting, when they decided to expand it, because they all realized that Michael wasn't getting any younger, and, you know, it was hard to assemble the group, and the script was too long. So, you know, they just like pulled the movie like this and made it longer.
Yeah, yeah. And the scenes with Michael were, of course, everybody remembers from the first movie, where you're his mom, but here's this cute guy wearing Calvin Klein, and you're chasing after him. The first time you see the movie, you're sort of like, what? What was it like when you saw that part of the script for the first time?
When I read the script, I was amazed. It was such a great part, and it was a great part, and I feel really lucky to be known for such a great part. I loved it. I've always had a little bit of an off sense of humor. People don't really believe that about me, but I'm like, you know, like I have a crazy sense of humor, and I really love kind of demented stories. So it was a really demented idea, and I couldn't believe that Universal and Steven Spielberg was making this crazy movie.
Yeah, yeah. You talked about your dancing career before, and not too long ago, just a couple of years ago, you did Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah.
Were you kind of the ringer there? Did people know about your dancing background? Was it hard?
Well, I wasn't a ringer because I didn't win. I didn't even get close. It was really hard. It was really one of the hardest things I've ever done.
Yeah.
My friend Jennifer Gray told me when I was just like, oh, this is fun, you know, like, I'll do this and I get to dance. And she was like, no. It's going to be literally the hardest mentally, physically, spiritually. It's one of the hardest things I've ever done. Anybody who does Dancing with the Stars, they make it look so happy and fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Really hard. And it's really confrontive about who you are as a person, your sexuality, your looks. It's like everything is under a big bright spotlight, and it's very difficult.
I'll bet. And then all the dance moves, yeah.
Yeah. Well, also you're really afraid of getting killed. Like, really.
Being dropped on your head.
Honestly,
kind of thing. Yeah.
You're afraid of being killed.
Oh, gosh.
You know, someone yanking you. I mean, I just have this feeling like my partner, Artem Chigvintsev, was really lovely, but very, very strong, and they're under a lot of stress.
Yeah.
And I literally felt like he was going to pull my arm out of my socket half the time.
Back to Switched at Birth. So it's the last season, and you're going to tackle another pretty topical issue: race relations on campus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of things we deal with, but yes, there's a special kind of episode about, about how difficult it is to navigate these issues of race right now. I mean, all the time, but you know, on campus, how you deal with, you know, it's a whole episode that features most of the black actors on our show, and sees things from their perspective. Right. These special issues from 3 different characters on our show, and it's a really, you know, they don't shy away. It's a very sticky issue that could be very easily just be like, ah, ha, 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 ha. It's all fine, but no. Switched at Birth is always great about opening up conversations, and it's wonderful for parents to watch with their children, because it introduces topics and conversations in a way that you can start talking about them.
Right, a great jumping off point.
Yes.
Are you gonna tie up sort of the characters' loose ends? Like, is everybody sort of going to have an ending as a series, or are you gonna leave things open? So maybe there'll be like, I don't know, like a Gilmore Girls movie, dare I say it, something like that, or a reboot. Everybody's talking reboots nowadays. What does the future hold for the series, if anything?
The lives continue. I mean, there's all these very interesting lives that collide and Switched at Birth, and so the lives will continue. They wrap it up in a beautiful, poetic way. But of course, if they wanted to start telling these stories again, there were so many more stories to tell. There's so many stories. That's what makes it a great show, because the central question, what's more important, nature or nurture, is one that we're all struggling with all the time now, especially as blended families and egg donors and adoption and you know, all these things. It's very interesting, and there's no end to the amount of stories you could still tell.
Yeah. Your own family, 2 daughters who were acting, and if you do a Google search of you, all the pictures come up of you and your daughter Zoe at Sundance.
Oh yeah.
Promoting her movie. Well, I guess she has a couple of movies. Before
I Fall, it's coming out in a couple.
The Salinger movie.
Yeah. Before I Fall is a beautiful movie based on a book that it's a young adult novel, which is amazing that it got into Sundance. It's beautiful, and it's coming out in March. And then she did another movie called Rebel in the Rye about J.D. Salinger. And yeah, it was crazy. She had 2 movies at Sundance. I was really proud. That's a really big deal.
Yeah. Had you been at Sundance in any capacity before that?
Yeah, I've had movies at Sundance, and I also had the supreme honor to be able to direct a movie that her sister Maddie Deutsch wrote. So it's called The Year of Spectacular Men. So I directed it. We shot in New York last year, and so Maddie and Zoe were both in it, playing sisters, and I played their mother. And that was really fun because both of my daughters, Maddie and Zoe, have both been directed by me and their father. They've had to be directed.
Who was a famous director?
Yes, Howard Deutsch. He directed me in Some Kind of Wonderful.
Right.
So it's definitely a showbiz family, and it's really fun to be able to share that with them.
Yeah. What would you say is the best advice you've given your daughters when they came to you and said, yeah, you know, I want this life too?
To be a good work person, to be great to the crew, to be cognizant that you know, we're all equal, and we all need to be in it together to make a great product and a great project. And that was really important to me, to be a worker among workers, and not, you know, and so my greatest pride is when someone from the crew comes up to me and says, your kid is really great. They kind to everyone and work hard and show up on time. And so it's about the work. It's not about the fame and all that. It's about the work.
Yeah, and I would guess there's some things that you can't really counsel them on because now we're in such fame is so different now, it seems, in the age of social media.
Yeah, it's different and it's the same. It's actually empowering as an artist because it was very difficult. When I was coming up, they kept me away from my fans, which I didn't appreciate. You know, I didn't want to feel like I was like, you know, like that. So now the fact that anyone can kind of, you know, talk to you, or you can talk to anyone, is kind of lovely. It's definitely different. But in some ways it's better, in some ways it's worse. But whatever it is, you're in the public eye, and that's odd.
Yeah.
It is an odd experience. But they grew up, you know, with people always coming up to me, and it just was the way their life was.
Yeah, yeah. So while we're on the topic of philosophical questions, I guess, I like to ask our guests this. I got to spend 22 minutes with you today. If you could spend 22 minutes, you could time travel, as it were, if you'd like to. Who would you want to spend 22 minutes with?
Wow, that's a great question. I'd say Albert Einstein. I'm just so fascinated with how he knew what he knew. Like, how did he come up with those theories when he was so young? And then they're still proving them now. Like, what lightning bolt hit him in the brain? Like, what divine inspiration did he get? And I find him to be really fascinating. And I feel like he could probably explain the theory of relativity in a way that I can understand.
Yeah. You did say lightning bolt, right?
Yeah, like... I mean, yeah, Back to the Future.
And Switched at Birth, and Scorpion. Any other projects on the horizon, short term?
Well, my movie, The Year of Spectacular Men, and I'm at a new thing, like something new is going to happen. I'm working on a one-woman show with singing. I'm also writing a book, which will probably take me 100 years. So I'm doing like a lot of new creative things in different ways, and I'm excited about what's next. I'm hoping that the directing thing is going to go forward. I did have the opportunity to direct the Goldbergs this fall. I directed the Thanksgiving episode, and so I'm trying to branch out into that a little bit. I find it really exciting, to be able to kind of use all that I've learned in my 35 years in the business. I like using all of that, all the gifts that I've been given. I like to kind of give them back a little bit. So directing is a wonderful way. So I'm just trying to see what the universe has in store for me.
Well, thank you for giving us 22 minutes.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it so much. Great to have you here, Lea.
Thank you so much.
Right.